talking about good and evil,
Mm.
the Acolyte.
So where do I sign up to become Chimea's acolyte?
What I will say is, and this is not slander, this is not a good thing, this is not a bad thing, this is purely a statement of fact.
Okay.
Women on the internet have been thirsty as fuck for 2 weeks straight
Oh
now.
yeah. This week's
And I
just
don't blame
added
him.
to it
He's a
more.
good
Like
looking dude.
it's almost like they knew last week they'd catch on to like his arms and stuff because that's all I was seeing over Twitter last week.
Hmm.
And they were like, okay, we're gonna follow that episode up with one that's really gonna get them hooked in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
um I mean, it was definitely felt a bit of a short episode.
Yes. But I just think that's because there wasn't any action
Yeah, I
after
think that's
the 30-minute fight
yeah,
scene of the week
that's
before.
the I think it finished. I was like, that felt short. Then I'm like, oh, it's been half an hour. And then I was thinking, I was like, no, it's more just like this was a bit more spaced out, different storylines happening, and not the intensity we had last week. And I think that's why. Um,
Absolutely.
did you clock that OSHA fully checked out his lightsaber?
Yeah.
The eyes went down, and there's so
Yeah.
many people that have like clipped that.
So it's really interesting. I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and there's a number of different ways you can take it. A lot of women have obviously gone, he's a very attractive dude. So, and don't get me wrong, like men do it as well when they're like, when there's an attractive character, they look past their like negative qualities. It's a very human thing to do.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are kind of like shipping Osha and Chimera after this. And then you've
No,
also got a
that's not the
bunch of
reason.
women, yeah, and then you've got a bunch of women who have come from maybe worse situations are going, no, this is exactly how you fall into that trap.
Mm,
This is not a romantic thing at all. He's just manipulating
mhm.
you. Run.
Oh yeah, this is 100% him using seduction, like physical seduction, as a way to seduce her to the dark side.
Yeah,
Like he
absolutely.
mentions the Jedi are focused on like learning certain things, but if you look in this episode, he talks about like if you look past that, there are other ways to build the Force through anger, emotion, whatever it is, his desire. Like he's clearly using those things, and it's like he knew he was being followed. Like there's no way he didn't. The way he just walks along the rocky beach when she's at the water edge, like he knows she's then going to follow him. He knew, yeah, you could see it when he got in the water that he sort of like looks to the side, like showing that he's sensing that she's there. The whole idea of him being naked, going for a swim, like it's
It was
all,
just to seem vulnerable so
yeah,
that she would in turn lower her god.
yeah, it's just him, like he
He's playing the game.
realizes, yeah, he realizes from last week when um she obviously was like the information about Soul, he sensed that she has this like uncertainty of what's actually the truth. And now he's just trying to like work on that and use that to his advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um
It is crazy.
his cave, this planet, titled in in the show as Unknown Planet. So
Yeah, I've seen lots of speculation around this.
um
Can I
Ion
just out
go on.
myself as a smaller Star Wars fan real quick? Like I'm not a nerd for Star Wars like I am for comic book
Mm,
stuff. When I first saw it, I
yeah,
thought it was the same island that we found Luke Skywalker on.
in the
Yeah,
sequels.
because it was giving that same vibe, just really rocky island in the middle of the fucking ocean. I was like, it's kind of giving similar vibes, and obviously this is like what 150,
Oh,
years
yeah.
before that. So I'm like, it could be that like just erosion and shit.
So there's a lot of people I think actually went the same route because we haven't seen another planet similar, I guess. But people that know Star Wars better than me, and obviously know legend stuff better, there is a planet called Aldemnik, which is an ocean planet with rocky islands and has rich cortosis deposits. And as soon as like what they showed in the cave when he's working on the helmet, and it shows the veins of cortosis in the wall, um, I mean, this kind of I find it hard to believe this isn't the same this planet, because like they've been pulling stuff from legends. They've pulled cortosis. They've pulled like it makes sense, and on top of that, there's stuff about this planet which is like knowledge of this planet fell into the hands of Tenebris and Plagueis because it was full of
So are we thinking
cortosis.
he could be Plagueis' apprentice before Sidious, or even maybe like a
So
Tenebrous
I think
apprentice?
I think it's I lean more to Plagueis because of the timeline. I think they would be really condensing stuff if it was Tenebris, like he was Tenebris's apprentice.
Did I not see something online though that Tenebrous, while Plagueis was his main apprentice, was there not maybe that he had a secret second apprentice?
I mean, they all have multiple apprentices.
So he could
Um,
be Tenebrous, but
it
not be before Plagueis, so to speak.
could be. I I'm thinking timeline wise, um, because of the whole like Plagueis being interested in extending life and this whole idea that he knows how to manipulate life. This idea that the witches then learned how to. It's some similar themes. I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually a mix of the two theories that have been going on about him being Plagueis' apprentice, and then people like after last week were like, "Oh my god, is this Ren?" I actually think it's both. I think they're weaving them
I
together.
I think he could be Ren, but before Ren. So you know how like every time there's a major order starts, the person who actually starts it is normally not the person who started it. I
Ye-
think he could be the person who taught Ren, and then Ren created the.
So I think it could still be Ren, and he started the order, but obviously, like the idea of the Knights of Ren is that name then passes on to the leader who holds the
Hmm.
lightsaber. So it could be like he could be the original Ren, who then the lightsaber becomes named after. Whether like the full-on Knights of Ren starts from him, or if he just sort of starts the ball rolling and then it develops into. But I think the idea that like he talks about he was a Jedi, which Osha's like, oh, I don't know you. He's like, well, it was a long, long time ago. Then he talks about the scar on his back, which
Yeah,
we'll
it's
we'll get to about who did the scar, but
yeah.
he
It don't look like just a straight lightsaber. I'm gonna say that.
no, he talks about for that someone tossed him aside. I think that's actually different to him leaving the Jedi. I think they're tossed to the side. Could be that he was like Plagueis' apprentice, didn't necessarily maybe agree or tried to do something, and Plagueis tossed him aside and went off to find a new apprentice. Him being tossed aside, but still has all these things that he's clearly learned from some Sith master, like things about the dark side and how to harness it. He's obviously learned that from somebody. And then the way that he also talks about, like when he says those things about anger, desire, and stuff, and Osha goes, "Oh, that's the path to the dark side," and he just says, "Ah, semantics," meaning like his view of it is like, yeah, sure, there's all these different words for it. It's just the Force, because the Knights of Ren call the Force the Shadow, so they use different
Oh, do
terms again.
they?
So like his perspective of like it's all just the Force. It's like it's got different names, whatever you want to call it. There is no one set way. Feels very like set up for Knights of Ren. And this idea with the cortosis, it's like it almost feels like they're kind of tying the two things together, like where the origins of Knights of Ren came from, and tying them into Plagueis.
It
But the scar, definitely not a normal lightsaber, definitely
that
a
is
whip.
the fact that we finally get the whip lightsaber
Yeah.
reveal in the same episode. We see these scars. Come on, we said, oh, Queermere being the stranger seems a little bit obvious. Now that we know that's definitely the case, I'm not baiting myself into thinking it's a red herring again. That bitch did that shit. She's been sus as fuck since early on in the season. We've not been sure of her the whole time. We're like, What's she up to?
Sh-
She's going to realize that this is all her fault and she's going to cover it up. And that's why nothing ever comes out.
I think at some point she's obviously had a run in with him. Clearly, maybe thought he was dealt with. Maybe now realizing she's got the set, like, because they went to obviously the scene of the fight. She clearly sensed what had gone down there using that shit the Jedi do, where they can kind of almost sense the memories of an area. She is maybe sensed something similar that she knows, which if she's done that scar to him, she'd recognize that, like, it's like hitting that memory of like, I know this force, like, fingerprint, so to speak. Um, yeah, very sus. Also, could so I have a fit like we know that Vanestra, she's called. I finally remembered
Hmm.
it. I made a note this week because I was like, every week I keep forgetting her name. Um, we know that her character is like really fairly old, like that race,
Yes.
and the way that Chimera talks about how he was a Jedi long, long ago. Could it be that he was her Padawan?
I think that's the
But
case.
I think you've got to like if he was if he betrayed the Jedi, he would have been very well remembered. We know this is a time where not everybody that starts on the path of being a Padawan ends up completing. Look at Osha. She walked away, but essentially was pushed away by the Jedi.
And he's very well aware of that. So he probably experienced the same thing.
Yeah, which would then make him very forgettable to the Jedi because it's like, oh, it's just someone that failed to harness the Force. We let him go. Doesn't matter. Forget about him. Then maybe went on and stumbled across a new master who was like, "Oh, I'll show you the true ways. Look, you're just a vulnerable ex Padawan. Let me teach you how this
I've
shit
been
works."
exactly where you've been.
Mm. But
Colt,
yeah,
Colt ass hard sell.
I think Vanestra's going to try and cover. She's not going to want this to go higher. Um, Also, a fun thing I found out by looking stuff up: the whole thing about her not liking hyper jumps and getting sick. That's apparently in the books from when she was a younger character. Because
Yeah, okay.
back when she was a young character is when they were just learning hyper jump routes, so they weren't as like
Smooth.
smooth and well done. So obviously, like she's just developed this like
Well,
fear
who
of
is it?
flying. People that don't like
There's another.
turbulence.
There's another. Is it Qui-Gon who doesn't like hyper jumps as well?
Oh, possibly. I think some. Yeah, it's like anything with travel. Like
Yeah.
some people get
Some
motion
people
sickness. Some
get
people,
seasick. I
yeah,
get massively seasick. I'm finding cars and planes. Put me on a boat and I feel like I'm gone.
yeah.
Like I
So
can't do it.
I like that they kept that little
Yeah.
detail.
The thing
I
I'm really enjoying about this series is every week when there's like, ooh, what is that?
mm,
You get to see all the Legends fans who are like
mm,
actually just good Star Wars fans, like, oh, this is what this is. And then the next week they tell you in the episode. So they're giving the Legends fans a chance to like give the information to the community. And then if you don't see that, you get told next week. So like
well, yeah,
last week, I was like, what the fuck is that helmet? You're like,
yeah.
that's cortosis. I'm like, sweet. This week, if I
He
didn't have
explains it.
this, I would have still found out that it was cortosis.
Fun fact: him mentioning that the Jedi use it in the sensory helmets, that's completely new.
Oh, really?
They've come up with
I
that,
love the sensory
which
helmet, by the way.
I don't hate that idea because someone I saw was like, "Oh, this explains why they were more than happy to give younglings a lightsaber right in front of their face because they've got a helmet on that will just short it out if they hit themselves." Which it
Um,
kind of makes sense that the Jedi would make use of this metal in some way.
I've for the longest time I've always thought if these sensory helmets that just like make it difficult to do anything or how you train, surely there's got to be some psycho out there who like does like almost like Donnie Yen starts like I'm one with the force is one
Yeah,
with me, and that's exactly what he
yeah.
does, and it's
Oh,
such a cool idea.
I
Which
love the
also makes
way.
his movements and how snappy he is with the
Mm,
helmet on make even more sense because he can't really see.
I liked how when he was like obviously repairing it and explaining what it was. Um, Again, showing how like it's brittle, it has to be keep being repaired because it's not meant for just armor. Um, yeah, when Osha then puts it on, and there's like no eye slits because it's like I kind of presumed there was ice, like a very small eye slit, and then she puts it on. There's like
The
nothing, and
tiniest amount.
you're like, wait, he just did that whole fight blind, like no eyesight, like no visual. It was all pure force, and
Yeah,
it's like,
genuinely terrifying.
oh shit. um,
Did you
the
see the toy version of that helmet sold out basically instantly? Like the
oh
$250 model of that
that doesn't
helmet
surprise me.
got it's the dopest helmet ever, and I would also like a sensory deprivation helmet, please. Not because I'm a Jedi, because I'm probably autistic. And I feel like it would be nice.
um, Also, Sol, I can't tell if his Sol is being sus or is still trying to save May or protect May.
I really do not know.
Because it's like,
I really don't know.
on one hand, he's coming across very sus at times, and to like hyper jump away and like and turn off the like tracker.
Yeah.
Yeah, very sus. But then also, if you look at it at the point of view, like he's still trying to maybe like get May on his side. He knows that if he let the Jedi go, they just blame her for everything, and like clear like his performance of like showing the grief he was going through of like losing all of his squad was so well performed.
Yes.
Um
And like it's also it works in a really good way because a lot of people after last week's episode, and we're not going to give the haters too much attention. But like all these Jedi's are known to like sense the dark side. You could see that being a legitimate complaint against this. Like, how does he not know the difference between the two from the Force? But we know the Force requires concentration and focus. When you're grieving all the people that have just died, you're not going to be able to stay centered and focused enough to
well,
notice that the identical twin has a different aura.
yeah. Also, I will say one thing, they were careful with it. There was a massive tell that he just like she has the huge forehead tattoo. Like if one slip
Yeah, but
from
they do have
her,
like a long
oh no, I know,
fringe.
but one slip from her and she's her whole gigs up.
Hmm.
He obviously clocks on sooner than she realizes though. Um, I get the sense that around when um she comes back with Pip, that's when he senses something's weird, and I think he realizes that it's not actually Osha. The whole Basil and Pip attacking her felt like a Home Alone skit, like the oil in the eye and
So
the
much.
scream, the way she screamed.
Yeah.
Also, Basil doing that what, and not doing anything.
I find it so funny that she didn't just punt him as well. She kind of acted like OSHA would, which I was kind of like, I'm sorry, were you so in character you forgot you were May? Like, why are you putting up
It was
with
just like
this?
he does this like spin around. It's like you could, like you say, you could just punt him. Like,
I need 10 series, 24 episodes, an hour-long episode each week of the adventures of Pip and Basil. Just
um,
240 hours of them doing weird shit.
so I think next week Sol was obviously like it ends with Sol about to obviously explain things. Um, you've got Vanestra's going back to decide what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
Um, and then you've got Osha's being seduced by Mr. Muscle himself. Um,
Yes.
I think next week, either we're gonna get it like fully just an episode of Sol explaining things and we have flashbacks or a new perspective of things, or I wonder if Kaime was there at the temple, maybe we get like him telling Osha what happened, Sol telling May, and we get like a full picture from both those perspectives of what went on. But I do think next week is we are finally going to find out what went down, um, which is then going to reveal who's hid shit, who's sus as fuck. Um, and unfortunately, I still think Sol is not safe.
There's something ain't adding up, and I don't know if it's just like he just feels so guilty because he didn't stop something, or if he
Mm.
actually did something bad.
I wonder if Vanessa knew what went down and helped cover it up. Soul's gonna have this like moment of like we need to finally come clean, and she's gonna be like no, and either kill him or
Imagine.
if imagine she kills him to cover it up so it doesn't get out. I also
Yeah.
wonder if Kaima gives a bit more of a skewed perspective again for Osha. Maybe they come because May knows where that planet is, so she's probably going to end up. They're probably going to end up going there.
Do we know for sure that May knows that
That's
planet?
where when they're on the beach and he's talking to her
Oh,
back
is
in like
that definitely the same place?
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the same planet.
Oh, okay, cool. That's fine then.
Which means, well, presume unless it was Kaime that knew how to get there, and she doesn't actually know the exact like location of
Yeah.
it. I don't know, but I wonder if there's going to be a situation where now May is trying to be like, no, he's seducing you. Osha doesn't believe her. Still, like she thinks she's still lying to her about everything. One of them ends up killing the other, maybe, and that's like slip into dark side more.
I'm really, really curious to see how this ends
I
because it's got wild in like the least predictable way.
We've got what 2 episodes left, so we've got next episode's definitely going to be flashback, maybe information on who covered stuff up, and I think the last episode is going to be some loose ends are going to get killed, and it's going to be covered up, and that's how it's like lost to the Jedi that this guy exists.
Yeah,
But yeah,
for
so good though.
sure. These last 2 episodes are going to go off.
Yeah, I'm ready to have like mind blown and be like, oh shit, we did not see that at all.
Absolutely 100% that is what's going to happen.